Hello, my name is Dr. Kimberly Woods. I am the founder of Mystical Awakenings, which is located in La Quinta, California. And I have decided to start a podcast here. Part of the reason for this is because I've been studying with various ancient traditions and modalities and wanted to share much of what I've learned to help people to figure out their life's purpose, to find a path, and to learn how to walk it. So my training started in actually a Christian tradition, which I then went from there to New Age, and from there to studying with the Modern Mystery School, which is located in Toronto, Canada. Even though I started with a Christian background, I do not currently consider myself Christian per se, although I do believe in Christ consciousness and Christ-centered thinking. I am more esoteric and metaphysical at this time. I studied for 5 years with the Modern Mystery School, and in that time I learned much about Hermetic principles, sacred geometry, astral travel, spiritual intuition. I studied various magics, unicorn magic, dragon magic, elven and fairy magic. The school also teaches many Wiccan studies. They teach about angels and Enochian. They teach many different healings and modalities that generate from or go back to the time of King Solomon. There are 7 initiations in the Modern Mystery School. I went through 6 and was studying to pass the 7th level of initiation, the Magus Hermeticus. And I transitioned away from the Modern Mystery School and started studying with Damanhur, which is located in Vidraco, Italy. Both are two very different schools. Both are open mystery schools, open to the public. There aren't very many mystery schools that are actually open to the public. And they have very different flavors. The Modern Mystery School has been around since 1997, very structured, and very much in the lineage, what they talk about, the lineage of King Solomon. And Damanhur is a very different feel, much more open. Their founder was Felico Torrasco, and he helped to establish basically an organic community. They have organic farms, and they have a mystery school, a healer school, an alchemy school, an art school. And they believe that through constant research that people continue to bring knowledge of these ancient traditions and mysteries together and continue to grow. So 2 different feels, 2 different mystery schools, and part of this podcast will be sharing things that I've learned through these schools. So I will share probably 8 to 15 minutes on a topic, and then over time I will probably offer classes that will allow people to go deeper in spiritual intuitions, deeper in terms of astral travel, sacred geometries. While I do have classes that happen in my home, I do a lot of classes online. So, and at this time, that seems very pertinent. I hope that you enjoy what you find here. I have recorded, I felt like to do a podcast, it had to be very formal. So I had recorded more formally 2 podcasts, one on chakras and one on your aura. And I'll post those later, and just came to find that mostly what you're going to get from me is sharing from the heart, things that I believe will help you to walk a path and find your life's purpose. I believe that that is what I'm being called to do at this time. You'll learn more about me as we go along. I am a non-judgmental person. I do not believe that there is good and bad, but that whatever we're going through is really just a lesson, a life lesson that we've chosen to learn from. And that part of my mission is to help people to discover what that is for themselves, to provide that freedom and that guidance so that people can learn who they are, why they're here, and live a limitless life. I do believe that there's evil in the world. When I study with New Age, typically they do not hold to there being evil in the world. The modern mystery school defines evil as anything that hinders our progression or the progression of another. And certainly, I would be in alignment with that belief system. The people in Damanhur, they don't talk about evil per se, but they do talk about the enemy being within and without, and it being basically a force that hinders or attempts to hinder our evolution. So when I talk about potentially evil or the enemy, I'm coming from that perspective. Oftentimes that's happening through our ego. It becomes a topic that comes up quite often because we're the ones that get in our own way. So it's not ego in terms of somebody being arrogant, but ego in terms of all those things that we say to ourselves that hinders our progression. So it could be, oh, I don't need to do that, ritual tonight, or that uh, this intention or this chant or this mantra. I'm too tired. That's part of our ego saying, I don't need it. So there are lots of subtle ways that ego comes, and then some very poignant and significant ways. So I will talk about that as well. I will be giving in the podcast many different tools that will help people to have mastery over their life and mastery over themselves, things that will help you to elevate your perspective and your vibration. That's particularly important as we're moving from the third dimensional paradigm and into this new paradigm. One of the first things I'll be talking about is part of what's going on in the world today. I will also give you tools that will help you to feel less stuck. That is something where people feel like they're hitting roadblocks. They don't know how to get themselves out of where they are. Oftentimes people begin to feel like they don't have any choice. They don't have choices anymore. Part of what I use to help people with this is something that I learned from Amy Moscow and Integrated Healing Systems. It's a program called Sacred, and you'll hear me refer to this many different times in my podcast because it's a really quick, decisive, easy way for people to gain a lot of tools in a short period of time that will help you to master your life. So I will be referring to Sacred, and many of the classes that I'll be offering online are connected or are Sacred classes or extension classes. So I hope you enjoy the podcast, and you can get a hold of me through mysticalawakeningsinc.com. You can go on the website. You can email me at mysticalawakeningsinc@gmail.com. And you can also call me at 562-208-2248. I'm Dr. Kimberly Woods. I hope you enjoy the podcast.